There is a story I think about sometimes. When the snow is falling, and the house is very quiet, the kind of quiet that has someone in it, and then suddenly does not. A story about a kindness, and what it brought to the door. One winter night. Tonight, I want to tell you a story from Japan. It was winter. The kind of winter that comes slowly and then stays. A young man was walking home through the forest, through the snow. He lived alone in a small house at the edge of the mountains. He had no wife, no children, only the wood stove and the long evenings. He was a quiet man. He did not mind being alone. Most days he did not even notice it. The snow fell softly. His footsteps made the only sound. And then he heard something else. A small sound. Soft. Pained. He stepped off the path. He walked toward the sound. And he found her. A white crane, caught in a hunter's trap. Her leg was hurt. There was a little blood on the snow. She did not struggle when he came close. She only looked at him. Her eyes were calm, dark, and somehow older than they should have been. He knelt down in the snow. He worked slowly, carefully. His hands were cold, but steady. He opened the trap. The crane did not move at first. She just looked at him for a long moment. Then she stood up. She tested her leg, and she opened her wings. She rose into the falling snow, slowly, beautifully, like something out of a dream. He watched until she was gone. Then he picked up his firewood, and he walked home. He did not tell anyone what he had seen. There was no one to tell. That night the snow grew heavier. He sat by his small fire. He ate his simple meal. The wind moved against the wooden walls. And then, a knock at the door. He was surprised. No one came this far up the mountain. Not in winter. Not at this hour. He opened the door. A young woman stood there, in a thin white kimono, snow on her shoulders, snow in her hair. She bowed slightly. She said she had lost her way. She asked if she could rest, just for the night. He stepped aside. He let her in. He did not ask where she had come from. He did not ask her name. Not yet. She stayed that night. And then the next. And then the one after that. The snow kept falling. The mountains stayed quiet. And somehow, without anyone deciding it, she stayed. She helped him. She cooked simple meals. She kept the small house warm. They did not talk very much. They did not need to. In the evenings, they sat across from each other at the low table. She poured tea. He watched the steam rise from the cup. The lantern flickered between them. It was a small kind of happiness, the kind you do not notice while it is happening. One night she told him she would be his wife, if he wanted her. He did. Winter was long that year. They had very little money. The firewood was running low. The rice was running low. One evening she said, "I can help. I can weave." She asked him to bring her thread and to build her a small loom in the back room. Then she made one request. "While I am weaving, please, do not look at me. Do not open the door. Whatever you hear, whatever happens, please do not look." He promised. She went into the small room. She slid the paper screen door closed, and he heard the soft, steady sound of the loom begin. For 3 days she did not come out. She did not eat. She did not sleep. Only the sound of the loom, soft, patient, hour after hour. On the 3rd day she came out. She was pale, tired, thinner than before. But in her hands, a beautiful white cloth. It seemed to glow, softly, like moonlight. He took it to the town. A merchant paid more for it than he had ever seen in his life. They had food again. They had firewood. They had everything they needed. A few weeks passed. The money ran out faster than they expected. Or perhaps he wanted just a little more. He asked her if she would weave again, just one more time. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said yes. Again she went into the small room. Again she closed the paper door. Again the loom began. But this time he sat outside the door, listening. He did not mean to. He was just curious. How could one woman make something so beautiful alone in such a small room? The sound of the loom, the faint, faint sound of her breath. Something else, a soft, almost feather-like sound he could not name. He told himself he would not look. He told himself this every hour. But the question stayed. And questions, when you sit with them too long, become heavier than promises. On the 2nd night, he stood up. He walked to the door. He placed his hand on the paper frame. He told himself he just wanted to see her. Just for a moment. Just to know she was well. He slid the door open. There was no woman at the loom. There was a crane. A white crane, thin, tired, pulling feathers from her own body, weaving them one by one into the cloth. The floor was scattered with white feathers. She turned her head. She saw him, and in her eyes he saw everything. The trap in the snow, the night she came to his door, every quiet evening, every cup of tea. He understood all at once, and he could not speak. By morning she was at the door. A woman again, but only for a moment. She did not look angry. She did not look sad. She only looked at him, the way you look at someone you have loved and are about to leave. "You saw me," she said softly, "and so I cannot stay." She did not explain. There was nothing to explain. She stepped outside, into the morning snow, into the pale gray light. And then she was a crane again. She rose into the sky, slowly, beautifully, the same way she had risen that first day in the forest. He stood in the doorway. He watched until she was only a small white shape in the sky, and then until she was nothing. He did not call after her. He understood. She had already given him everything she could. He went back inside. The house was quiet. The kind of quiet that has someone missing from it. On the low table she had left the cloth, folded neatly, a single white feather beside it. He sat down. He did not cry. He just sat with it. For a long time. He thought of her hands pouring tea, the first night she stood in his doorway, the sound of the loom in the dark. He had lost her, but he had also known her, and that, somehow, was not nothing. In Japan, this story is very old. Some say the lesson is about curiosity, about promises, about what we lose when we need to know everything. But maybe it is also about something else. That some people come into our lives quietly, give us more than we knew we needed, and then go. And the memory of them, soft, white, almost luminous, stays. So that is the story of the crane wife. A man who was kind one winter day. A woman who came to his door. A small house, warm against the snow. And a love that was brief, but real. If you have ever loved someone who could not stay, rest now. The snow falls. The lantern is warm. And the memory of being loved, even briefly, is its own quiet gift. Good night.